Rachel Cruz, #1 New York Times bestselling author of the book Smart Money, Smart Kids, that co-authored the book with me. My daughter is with us for a couple of segments to talk about this idea of student loans. And, you know, Rachel, I was thinking, by the way, the phone number, if you want to get in on that, is 888-825-5225. When I started this radio show 25 years ago, you were a tiny baby, and the boomer generation, the baby boomers, of which I am kind of in the tail end of it at 55 years old, we were labeled self-centered and materialistic, and the financial problem that came with that was credit cards. Credit card debt. Credit card debt was the crisis of the day when I went on the air in personal finance. And it was reflective back on that generation. You know, people would say, well, they're self-centered. It's all about materialistic. It's all about looking like something you're not. They're not authentic. Boomers this, boomers that. And it was always running the boomer down. And the result is this huge credit card debt crisis that we have. So, of course, I started attacking credit cards right off the bat, going on the air in the early days on this show. And it's interesting to have watched it. You know, we went through the yuppie generation. Yuppies were a thing for a while, and we've gone through, and this student loan crisis now has become a political football. The student loan discussion, the cost of education has become a political football in the presidential campaign, but it's also kind of gone back on the millennial, and the millennial, you know, getting $100,000 in student loan debt on a degree that's not usable in the marketplace, and then feeling entitled to get it paid off. That's becoming almost stereotypical with the millennial. The student loan crisis is tied to the millennial in that way, like the credit card debt thing was tied to the baby boomer in a negative way. And you're seeing that a lot working with millennials, aren't you?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, thanks for having me back on, by the way. But yeah, I think you know, and I always want to say when we talk about this, there's a sector of millennials who are doing it right.
No,
and I meet those all over,
bunch.
and there's ones that have called in on the show. But a handful of them, the loud ones, seems like, and the majority of students are graduating with student loans. And I think it's multiple things. I think number one, I think there's an ignorance to it because everyone in their life is telling them that there's no way they can go to school without student loans. And at this age, they're signing up at 18 years old for debt. Now, credit cards, sure, you could sign up at 18 in your generation, but you guys were working as adults, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, that was the big kind of mantra of the credit card. That these 18-year-old, they're kids. And so they're really listening to people older than them and people older than them, their parents, financial aid officers, teachers, and in goodwill, these people, because they've believed the lie, are telling this child who's 18 that this is the only way to go to school. So for them, they've accepted this as a truth. So there's a little bit of ignorance because they don't know there's another way. They really don't. And then number two, I would say, yeah, there may be a sense of entitlement, not with everyone, but this sense of, okay, well, I deserve to go to a school. I deserve to go to the school that I want to go to, whether that's where my friends are going, where my favorite football team is, just because I got accepted, I get to go there. Like, you know, there's a little bit of that playing in the mix of all of this. And with the degree thing, you know, everyone's like, oh, get a degree in what you're passionate about. So then you meet students who are going to a school that costs $20,000 a year and they're getting a degree in left-hand puppetry, right? And you're like, you can't use that out in the marketplace. And so it really is. It's a mixture of things that really, I think, make the perfect storm. But I think a big thing too is I'm like, at 18 years old, they're signing their financial lives away. And there's not a lot of people in the world that believe that you can go to school without debt. And there's not those people speaking into their lives. So that's why I think it's so important what you're doing on the radio every day. So much of the mission of this place is to get the word out, and so that they don't have to create this bondage at 18, but they can have this freedom. They can go through school. Yeah, it's tough. It's hard 4 years to possibly go to a community college or a school you don't really want to go to, applying for scholarships and grants, keeping your grades up and working, like all of these things combined, but it's still possible.
Lots of people can go to school. Everyone could go to school debt-free, but no one talks to them about that idea, and it requires working while you're in school. College choice is by far mathematically the biggest issue in the math, and because if you sit down and look at what a college costs versus what another college costs, or a university costs versus what another university costs, in-state, out-of-state, private prestige versus community college, and for the first 2 years and get some of your basics out of the way. There are ways to do it if you decide that's important. But the problem is that people are taking out student loans to do that. They're taking out student loans to maintain their lifestyle while they're in school. They're buying cars with them.
Yeah.
They're paying their rent with them and calling, well, I'm financing my education. I have to have a place to live while I'm going through education. But basically, they've got a pile of money here. They're going to use it. And so it just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. But it's interesting how, and I am 100% sure, we've got 544 people on our team. A whole bunch of them are millennials, and they're excellent. They're excellent people, and they're excellent team members. So this idea that all millennials are entitled spoiled brats is not true. But there are some loudmouth ones out there who are having a little temper fit in the cereal aisle because they don't like their little life, and they made the choices. Yes, they were misled, but they made the choices.
Absolutely.
And their approach to it is making some of us who are more responsible kind of angry at them, to say the least, and make fun of them in the process as well. So, you're not due a pass just because you woke up one morning and didn't understand. So, interesting stuff. U.S. citizens currently have, we've talked about this, over $1.3 trillion. It's really about $1.4 trillion in student loan debt. And here's a couple.
Has it bumped up?
It's just bumping. Like, well, it goes up every day.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that. Yes.
But I mean,
it's getting close.
Here's some of the negative results. 29% of student loan borrowers are putting off marriage. 43% of student loan borrowers delay starting a family. 73% of student loan borrowers delay saving for retirement. This is real.
Oh, it's affecting everything. It's affecting the economy. It's affecting these borrowers. And what's so hard is student loan debt, for the most part, besides a mortgage, is the largest debt people have. And it seems like an impossible mountain to climb. There's $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 of debt, and it's like, oh, how can I pay this off? And that's the frustrating thing, is that they look and they're like, oh, retirement's so far away. I'll just pay the minimum payments on student loans. Once I get done with that, then maybe I'll think about retirement. It's just this sick cycle. And if you don't break it hard, then it is going to affect your life. Hey, you guys, Rachel Cruz here. Hope you are enjoying the Dave Ramsey Show. If you didn't know, I actually have my own YouTube channel. So I do videos twice a week on life and money. So you can click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to check out our video right now, check out the video on how to make a budget.